Hey guys, this is Darshil and welcome back to episode 2 of FPL must-haves. Today I'm going to go over Game Week 23's must-haves, which is indeed a double game week, and try and tell you 3 players that you have to have in your team. And just a disclaimer out there, I'm not going to include Erling Haaland because 85% of the people have him, so whoever's really playing the game has him. So apart from Erling Haaland, 3 picks that everyone should really have and should really be making to be aggressive in this game week and try and up your ranking for both your mini leagues or your world ranking. So that's the gist of this video today. And just to recap a little about Game Week 22, I had suggested Rashford, Bruno and Nketiah, and as you all know, Rashford was pretty good a bet. He scored 20 points, so those who captain him or triple captain him, hats off to you, probably worked out really well and upped your rank. And Bruno did well too compared to Nketiah and a lot of others who really didn't score a lot. Very few people who are really renowned scored well or gave good returns, and a lot of people blanking. So anyone who gave points this week was really a blessing. Just people like Kepa, Bruno, Rashford were the only ones that I really had, and Kane probably. So yeah, hats off to everyone who had Rashford triple captain, and let's get right into this week's video. To start off the video, whenever I start my analysis, I'd like to look at the fixtures that all the teams have. So here on this image you can see all the fixtures, and for the first 2 weeks it's in green for all the favorable ones where the win percentages are highlighted, and then maybe red is where you have a low chance of winning. So you can see Arsenal at the top. They have a double game week against Brentford at home and City at home in 23, and you kind of also want to look at the long run too. They have Leicester away and Everton at home in 25, so pretty good run when you have 6 fixtures in 4 game weeks, and especially when some of those teams are really the highest, have the highest XAG, which is like expected goals against. So that's something really to consider. And maybe if you look at City, that's the other team that has a double game week. They also have Villa and then Arsenal away, which is a tough fixture, but then Nottingham Forest away and Bournemouth away. So those 4 fixtures I think would really yield a lot if things go how people expect them to normally. I know they haven't been performing exceptionally lately, but on average you would expect that. And then other greens you'd look at maybe Newcastle, Man U, Brighton have one, Chelsea have one, but you can't just look at like one fixture. My thesis really when I'm choosing players is usually that try and choose a player that you want at least for like the next 4 or 5 game weeks. And sometimes of course it's okay to make a punt, but on average you don't just do that when they have like an average single game week game against say Crystal Palace. You know, you want to have aggression, especially at this stage when there's double game weeks, chips being played, people climbing up the ranks. You want to be part of them, you don't want to be left behind and be climbed upon. So I think in my opinion I'd recommend targeting Arsenal and City for sure, and staying away from people who are blanking in 25, because you can see there's 4 teams: Brentford, Brighton, Man U and Newcastle blanking, and there's also some that will be blanking in 28, but it takes some time and that's a bit far to think of. But all in all, I think I want to see Arsenal players. Those are priority because they have literally 6 good games in 4 game weeks, while some people like Man U have 3 in 6 game weeks. So let's get right into the next section. Now, before we look at the players, I always like to try and look at the teams that have been doing good, the teams that have been doing bad, and trying to target those, because a lot of times some people, especially people who are new to FPL, target teams that don't look good on paper, but maybe some recent updates are like, oh, Nottingham Forest looked bad in the start of the season, but now they're doing very well defensively. Someone like Bournemouth has been doing bad and are still doing bad, so that's fine. And it really depends. So the statistics really tell us the true value, and that differentiates a good player from a bad one. So let's get right into it. You can see here the teams sorted by XGA, so the expected goals against, and you see Leeds, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Crystal Palace. Liverpool a shock for many, of course, Everton, Fulham, Wolves, I guess, Leicester and so on. So those are really the teams that we want to be targeting. And if you remember, Arsenal have a few of these who they're facing soon. Man U also have like Bournemouth, I guess, and a few. Arsenal have Everton, Bournemouth, Leicester coming up. So those are pretty good fixtures, and that's when you want to target the attackers, especially because teams like City haven't been really keeping a lot of clean sheets. They've been conceding, and if they're facing a bad team and they're not keeping clean sheets, who do you target? The attackers, of course. So that's kind of a hint to who I'd be getting at in my players. Yeah, similarly for Arsenal, I want to try and go big or go home, because you want to climb up the ranks at this stage of the season. So let's get right into the players. So my number one pick for Game Week 23 is one of the boys from Haaland, one of my favorite players from Arsenal, Eddie Nketiah. He's had a phenomenal return after the World Cup. These are the statistics for all three players from after the World Cup. So he's had 6 appearances, 4 goals, an XG of 5.11, which is I think only behind Haaland, and a ridiculously cheap price and ridiculously low ownership. I've highlighted the things that I see for someone to look at, which are really intriguing for someone to buy them, and it's literally 4 out of the 8 cells, and that's not the same for other players. He is exceptional, and really the value that he's providing, he should be your number one transfer right now, as given that you have Erling Haaland. He's been phenomenal on the pitch. If you look even against Everton, he had a few good chances, a few good runs for assist, for a goal, but he didn't really quite convert. Everyone has their day, but he's been amazing after the break. I know Jesus might be a bit on your mind, but he still has maybe 4 or 5 game weeks to really return, and even after he does that, it's not a guarantee that Nketiah will lose his position. But for now, if you're looking at the fixtures, they have 6 good games in 4 game weeks. You have to have him. He's going to give a lot of points. In fact, some would say he'd probably give more than Haaland, but he's probably the only one up there who can match Haaland's numbers. So great form. He's really a poacher in the D. He's doing really well. If you want to take a punt, because a lot of people don't have him from before. A lot of people only have, say, Saka, Martinelli, Ben White, and not many people had him from before. So if you transfer him, he's still going to have a low ownership. I think by the deadline he will still not be owned more than 25%. So there's room for you out there. Stop waiting, get on him. He's the guy you want for this week. My number 2 pick for this game week is one of the left wingers of Arsenal, and that is Bukayo Saka, again from Haaland. He's been phenomenal too. He scored just recently against Man U, and he's been on great form too after the World Cup. 3 goals and an assist. I'll take that, not too bad. He's got goals and assists in the bag, and he's on pens, which they haven't got a pen in a while, so who knows, it might be due time that they do in this upcoming fixtures. Once again, referring back to the picture I showed you in the start, the fixture analysis is what you have to go for. You gotta target the fixtures where people are going to have a high ceiling. If you just transfer in someone like Ben White, Gabriel, Zinchenko, yeah, great, you might get some few clean sheets, that is good for you. But Saka, I think, has a bigger ceiling than most players right now for the upcoming fixtures. He can easily score 1, 2, even up to 3 goals in a game, and if he has double game weeks coming up, that is just a big haul that you can get. So definitely get him in. He's had exceptional numbers. His ownership is 27%, but still not as high as someone like De Bruyne or Haaland. So definitely someone to look out for. His price is pretty good, 8.3 compared to some of the big names. Definitely not a premium, but more like a mid-priced asset. So definitely someone to consider. Great numbers, and he's your man if you want to get a good score in 23, 24, 25. My third and final pick, it may come as a surprise to some of you, but he is one of the most nailed on City assets, and that is Kevin De Bruyne. It is kind of ironical that he was dropped last game, but he is too good to be dropped again, and really Pep paid the price. I know he always messes with our FPL picks and he's the biggest enemy, but he has done exceptionally well over the years, and you know that he's Pep's go-to man when he needs wins. And he hasn't had the best stats recently, but that is more so him underperforming his numbers. I think his XG and XA are pretty good for someone who has a double game week soon and then is facing Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth. So I think you gotta go by the fixtures, gotta go by the man. I know usually you have to follow the statistics, but definitely XG and XA are more important than goals and assists. A lot of times we are lured by the results that we see, but we need to be looking at the statistics, how close, how many shots he's taking, and he's always taking shots. I've watched him so many times recently. He's just taking shots, not getting the returns, but he will eventually. And one of the downsides, of course, the price. The ownership is still not too bad. It's still only 35%, so there's a lot of room for up in your rank. But his price is pretty high, so you have to either move from De Bruyne, from Bruno if you had got Bruno in 22, or you might have to try and get move like from Kane or Salah, whoever is your premium, you might have to move from one of them. Of course, not from Haaland, because he's literally the best player to own right now. But I think he's definitely worth the transfer. Even if you take a hit, he will start both games. He got a good rest, and if he even gets a snoop of the goal, he is going to score, because he's going to be playing more attacking. Pep knows that he has too much to lose, especially with the Arsenal game. And if you may not expect a lot from the Arsenal game, it's Villa at home. That is definitely a good fixture. They do not have the best defense in the world for sure, and I expect that to be like a 3-0 or 4-0. And if De Bruyne's playing say 80 to 90 minutes, you'd expect like maybe 1 or 2 returns. So definitely worth a shot. It's a punt, and you know, nothing can be certain, but you have to trust the statistics. And so that's it from me. Those are the 3 picks. Let me know in the comments below if you disagree with someone, you think someone else should be one of the top 3, or if you completely agree and just want to give a thumbs up. Make sure to like our videos, subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to grow this in terms of 2 series of winners and losers and FPL must-haves. So definitely subscribe, share our channel. We'd like to really put a lot more content out there in the coming weeks. And yeah, good luck to all of you playing FPL, and hope you transfer these players in and get you a lot of points, get you a good rank. And yeah, tune in for the next video. That's game week 24.